Now we continue now on the afternoon edition, of course, with our continued coverage of the impeachment trial, which starts today. The two articles of impeachment, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. That is what the House has to prove. With me today is Barry University constitutional law professor Eang Ngov. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a little while since we've chatted, but thanks for stopping by today. So again, those two articles of Congress of impeachment. I mean, the White House argues those articles fail to allege any crime or violation of law, and the president's actually asserted legitimate executive branch confidentiality interests. Yeah,
so there are lots of things to unpack with that. First, has there been a violation of law? It's arguable that there has. The Impeachment Control Act requires the president to either notify and get approval from Congress whether he wants to delay or cancel funding through congressional aid. And so the aid to Ukraine had been delayed for quite some time, and it might have been deferred much longer had the whistleblower action not happened. And so there is a violation. Whether that was alleged in the articles of impeachment shouldn't be an impediment to this, because the abuse of power charge covers that as well. So the abuse of power charge speaks to a higher offense, in that perhaps the allegations are that in trying to manipulate Ukraine, then the government or the president has used his power to betray public trust. And so I think it's more encompassing. I think that is the intent.
And as we've been talking, this is only less than actual handful of times that this has happened. How long do you think this trial is going to take?
I think that's hard to say. Right now, what's going to be contested is whether the Senate will allow witnesses and whether the Senate will allow additional evidence. So, for instance, I'm sure the Democrats want to have Lev Parnas. And so there's going to be a fight, and it's a two-way street. So if the Democrats get their witnesses, then the Republicans will probably want Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the whistleblower. So it's a delicate balance there.
Right. And that's the thing, though. I mean, this is obviously not a trial that's conventional trial that's happening in a courtroom, but it is a trial nonetheless. And when you have a trial, you have witnesses. Both sides will get witnesses, but there's been a lot of talk, and including some pushback about whether witnesses should happen. A lot of the Democrats want them. Some Republicans don't necessarily want them.
Right. So it's definitely going to be a contest, and generally in a trial, witnesses are taken care of and decided well in advance. But here, as you say, and it hasn't happened for a number of times, this is a third time. And so the Senate will be working through the rules, and it will be unusually contested on just the rules about witnesses, which is not the typical case with trials.
And about the, do you think it'll be similar to the impeachment trial for President Bill Clinton?
I think what they're trying to do is follow the Bill Clinton trial as a template, but it seems that the Republicans are trying to condense the schedule a bit, perhaps to
go more toward a speedy trial.
A speedier trial, perhaps for political timing with the President's State of the Union address, or to send a message they want to deliver a really quick acquittal. And so the time for this to happen has been cut in half. For instance, the opening statements in the Bill Clinton trial was allowed to spread over 4 days, and Mitch McConnell has decided that it'll only spread over 2 days. And so it'll be longer days, and fewer days is likely to happen.
Well, it's interesting. It was announced last week when President Trump came out who was going to be on his team, if you will, during the impeachment trial. Names obviously very familiar to us during the Clinton impeachment.
Right, the big Ken Starr. He was a huge player, obviously, in the Clinton, and so he's got the experience that Trump will want for this.
And we spoke with, obviously, Representative Val Demings, one of 7 trial managers. She was picked. We talked to her on Friday. She talked a lot about many things, but she had mentioned the fact that her law enforcement experience, is going to be able to play into this because she's had to investigate alleged crimes. And again, we don't know what's going to be the outcome of this trial, but she has had to investigate alleged crimes.
Yes, I believe her experience will be an asset as a manager, even though she's not an attorney. I think it provides a unique perspective. When we prosecute, often prosecutors have law enforcement in the courtroom for their expertise and their background and how they worked up the case. So her law enforcement experience will be integral to working up this case.
And I got about another minute left or so, but I want to ask about the evidence. How do you think evidence is going to be handled?
Here, it's not clear whether they're going to allow the evidence that came in during the House's hearings to come in automatically. During Clinton's trial, they did.
Well, and on that topic, Les Parnas had mentioned the note.
Right. So, again, the Democrats are going to want this. They'll want the subpoenas. And whether they'll get it, we will see in the next few days. It will be a hard-fought battle over that.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If Lev Parnas, of course, will be one of the witnesses, whether he won't be. It'll be certainly very, very interesting. We'll be watching it together. I'm sure we'll have you back, at some point to either, debrief or during the trial. So appreciate it. Eang Ngov, constitutional law professor at Barry University.
Happy to be here.
Good as always to see you.